Cannabis today is seen in many ways: product, vice, controversy, and even cultural symbol. But behind this haze lies a deep spiritual history. In many ancient traditions, this plant was not just smoke, it was a sacred key. A key opens portals, but not just any door. It opens inner passages that reveal both light and hidden shadows of the soul. In ancient India, cannabis was revered as one of the 5 sacred plants of the earth. Linked to Shiva, the god of destruction and renewal, it was used in meditation rituals, not to seek pleasure, but to confront the ego. Devotees fasted, chanted, and isolated before smoking, for they knew the effect was not leisure, but a plunge into the mystery of their own consciousness. In Taoism, masters saw cannabis as an ally of longevity and spiritual vision. Ancient writings describe blends with other herbs that provoked lucid dreams and subtle perceptions. Yet the secret was balance. A plant can refine the vital energy flow, but if the mind and body are in disorder, the chaos intensifies, turning the tool into a dangerous amplifier of imbalance. Among medieval Sufi mystics, Hashish appeared in rituals aimed at fana, the complete dissolution of the ego in divine presence. Many accounts describe ecstasy and visions of the beloved. Yet even here, warnings echoed. Rumi, the great Sufi poet, asked, "Why seek God in intoxication if he already dances sober within you?" The plant could serve as bridge, never as substitute. In the mystical tradition of Kabbalah, cannabis is absent, perhaps due to context. Still, the wisdom remains. Those who force portals of light without preparation risk being swallowed by ignorance. A plant may open doors, but if the seeker is unprepared, what arises is not divine light, but inner shadow magnified and reflected back with unsettling clarity and intensity. Archaeologists suggest early Christians and Gnostics may have used cannabis resins in holy oils and temple incense. If true, its use was liturgical, never recreational. It served as portal for prophetic states and sacred contact. Without sanctity, the plant was profane. The difference between sacrament and banality was always the intention and the ritual surrounding it. In Africa and the Americas, indigenous traditions approached power plants with reverence. When present, cannabis received the same respect as tobacco, peyote, or ayahuasca. The healing never came from the leaf itself, but from the spirit of the plant. And this spirit manifests only with preparation, ritual, and intention. Without reverence, what remains is only empty smoke. In Candomblé, Umbanda, and other Afro-American religions, cannabis is not central, but the concept of access applies. Every plant holds energy, vibration, and sacred purpose. Using without knowing its access is like beating a ritual drum without knowing which deity it calls. It is not superstition, it is acknowledgement that all life has frequency and demands deep respect. For Rastafarians, cannabis is Ganja, the herb of wisdom. But it is not pastime, it is sacrament. During reasoning sessions, the herb is shared with prayer and song. The goal is not intoxication, but communion with Jah, the living God. The smoke becomes incense of spirit, a sacramental bridge of faith. Here, the herb is wisdom's fire, never a weekend distraction. Across all traditions, the same lesson repeats. Cannabis is potential, neutral in essence. It can be ascent or fall, light or prison. The plant does not define the outcome, the seeker does. Hermetic texts warned, the spirit does not open to one who knocks intoxicated by self. The danger is not in the leaf, but in the user who approaches without discipline or intention. When used without preparation, cannabis brings not growth but stagnation. Jung called shadow the parts of the psyche hidden from ego. Anxiety or paranoia after smoking are not created by the plant. They were already inside. Cannabis removes the mask, exposing the hidden. Thus, more than escape, the experience becomes confrontation, direct, raw, and often unsettling. Occultist Dion Fortune warned that altered states weaken the energy field, leaving openings for external forces. This is not superstition but subtle psychology. When conscious mind retreats, the unconscious takes command. If the unconscious carries unhealed wounds, they rise powerfully. What many call bad trip is often the psyche's attempt at cleansing and release. In the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali, herbs are said to awaken psychic powers spontaneously, yet the warning follows. Without ethics and discernment, these powers are illusory. They become obstacles, feeding the spiritual ego, subtler and harder to dissolve than ordinary ego. Bright visions deceive, diverting seekers from true enlightenment and anchoring them in vanity. Osho taught that drugs open doors only silence should unlock. They are shortcuts, but unstable. Whoever crosses without a map may return lost. Energetically, cannabis amplifies the aura, increasing sensitivity. This can help when anchored, but without grounding, it turns the user into a beacon without captain, attracting not just moths, but also predatory energies. Shamans say, every plant that opens also tests. The test is not mystical, it is moral. What do you do with what you see? Chronic users often report stagnation, body relaxed, mind drifting, life unmoved. This false growth is what Kabbalists call klipot, spiritual shells from unintegrated experiences. They trap the soul in illusions of progress, blocking true evolution. Peace brought by cannabis can be deceptive. It is artificial calm, like a locked room. True peace is born even in chaos, rooted in being. If the plant merely lends temporary serenity, the lesson is shallow. True encounters with the divine often begin in shadow. Tears, shame, and anger, before acceptance emerges. Only then can transformation grow beyond illusion. Cannabis can reflect the sky like a mirror of water, but to dive without preparation is to find mud. No spiritual path is isolated, all echoes in the collective. The plant does not act alone, it resonates with culture and context. Torn from the temple, it became global commodity and pop icon. What once was sacrament is now product, marketing, and empty aesthetic. In the 1960s, counterculture tried to rescue ritual value, but lacked roots and tradition. Cannabis was mixed with acid and politics. The search was real, but fragmented. Aldous Huxley warned, vision is not permanence. Without ethics and ritual, visions become fireworks, bright but fleeting. Experience may reveal much, but without integration, it sustains nothing. Today, cannabis symbolizes rebellion and freedom, but rarely responsibility. In ancient paths, it was collective. Songs, fasting, silence. The group was compass and vessel. Alone, the plant amplifies solitude. Like water, it takes the shape of its container. And today's culture is shallow, rushed, cynical. What was once sacred incense now streams as Netflix content. For Rastafarians, smoking is vow, not addiction. It is covenant with Jah, resistance to oppression. In African traditions, cannabis was used in funerals and rites of passage, not to escape pain but to cross it with the ancestors. It was presence, never absence. Across cultures, the pattern repeats, sacred substance only when sustained by myth, ritual, and cosmology. Without sacred structure, the plant loses meaning and becomes mere stimulus. Modern culture did exactly this, turned it into joke, fashion, product, yet resistance remains. Indigenous peoples preserve rituals, seekers recover chants and fasting, silent masters still teach how to smoke in prayer. The plant stays the same. What changes is intention and symbolic field. The central lesson may be this: spirituality is not individual sensation, but collective frequency. It is not what you feel under the effect, but what you radiate after it ends. If you want speed, walk alone. If you want distance, go in circle. African proverb echoes: bring the drum, bring the fire, bring the plant. The group sustains. The self dissolves to be reborn. Cannabis carries the cultural soul of what is projected on it. In temple, it is sacrament. In dark room, it may magnify loneliness. Without guide, it becomes carousel, illusion of depth that paralyzes. Absence of discernment turns plant from tool into crutch, trapping the seeker in comforting illusions. The mirror shines, but what it reflects may keep one asleep. Discernment, called viveka in Vedanta, is the invisible blade separating reality from illusion. Without it, visions may be only mental echoes. Brilliant insights may seem like enlightenment, but if they do not transform relations with others and the world, they are surface lights. The true path is constant silence, daily practice, anchored presence, free of spectacle. The most subtle addiction of cannabis is not chemical, but spiritual. The feeling of evolving without real change. It is easy to seem profound under effect. Hard is to remain profound in daily life, in traffic, arguments, wounds. Enlightenment is not measured with eyes closed, but with eyes open. Without practice, peace is vegetative, a nap disguised as awakening. In occultism exists the principle of false light, mental clarity that is mere intoxication, a brightness that looks like revelation, but is mirage. Cannabis, without wisdom, can feed this illusion, creating colorful circles of stagnation. Danger lies not in the vision itself, but in confusing spectacle with progress, sensation with transformation, fireworks with fire. Thus, spiritual use demands clean inner soil, clear intention, silence before and after, guidance and humility. Sufi master Rafiz said, "God is mirror that does not hide faces, only shows them." Cannabis acts the same. It does not invent shadow, it reveals it. But few are ready to face their truth stripped of masks and illusions. The reflection may terrify the ego. Cannabis indeed holds spiritual potential, but potential requires discipline. Without ritual, it becomes cultural product, commodity disguised as transcendence. True spiritual search is not escape, but presence. Not seeing lights, but becoming light. The real question is not whether the plant is sacred, but whether you are sacred enough to approach it consciously. If you smoke seeking peace, silence and space, ask yourself, is that peace born within or borrowed from the plant? If serenity is temporary, the lesson is shallow. Mirrors show reflection, not essence. The challenge is not admiring the image, but transforming being until, without external help, you radiate what once seemed unattainable. That is real evolution. Spirituality is not measured by feelings, but by what you generate. Every altered state must become elevated state once smoke fades. Conscious use may reveal portals, but the crossing is yours. Portals are not tourism, they are trials. Not every soul is ready for what lies beyond. Preparation is the key that separates true vision from illusion, growth from mirage. Between light and haze lies a fine line called discernment. Cannabis offers possibilities, clarity or confusion, inspiration or deception. The seeker faces crossroads, expand awareness or escape it. Osho reminded, anything can be meditation if presence is there, and anything can be drug if presence is absent. The question is not the leaf, but the consciousness. Absence leads to carousel, repetition that feels profound, yet goes nowhere. That is why ancients combined the herb with fasting, chanting, silence, guidance. Not superstition, but energetic hygiene. They knew portals are not toys. Whoever enters unprepared may get lost. Cannabis is test, not prize. What matters is not what you see inside, but how you return outside. In Greek philosophy, discernment was called crisis. In Vedanta, viveka. In both, it is the third eye that distinguishes real from illusion. Without it, what seems intuition may be disguised desire. What seems vision is echo. Cannabis without guide becomes stage for self-deception. Spiritual brightness may be intoxication without roots, fruits, or authentic transformation. There is a kind of intoxication that imitates clarity, synesthesia, synchronicities, brilliant insights. But if these do not transform how you live and relate, they have no value. They are fireworks, beautiful, but useless. The true path is austere, constant practice, silent presence, daily constancy. The plant can show, but only discipline integrates the experience. The trap lies in seeming profound. Cannabis creates subtle addiction, the feeling of spiritual growth without growth. Expansion without direction is swelling, and swelling bursts. The plant does not create passivity, but may stage it. Those who already carry stagnation find in the herb a perfect mirror. What looks like evolution is often only illusion dressed in smoke. The true test is daily life. Spirituality is not what you see with closed eyes, but what you do with open ones. If cannabis builds only foggy mirrors where ego feels awake, risk is living asleep. The occult calls this false light, shine without root, brightness that dazzles but does not guide. Without practice, the seeker circles endlessly, thinking he is moving forward. The plant should only be used spiritually when there is preparation, intention, humility. Otherwise, it becomes crutch. Rafi said, God is mirror, hiding nothing. Cannabis too, it reflects. It does not create shadows, only reveals them. But many are not ready to see. The reflection is brutal, unfiltered, exposing wounds and fears that the ego prefers to bury deeply. True path is not escape, but permanence. Not chasing lights, but becoming light. Cannabis, when turned product, loses essence. But when used reverently, it may be sacrament. The definition is never in the leaf, but in the seeker. What do you search when lighting it? True peace or smoke of illusion? The answer reveals whether the herb is tool of growth or prison of mind. If the answer is only sensation, the mirror shows reflection, not essence. The risk is mistaking temporary relief for transformation. Sacredness is measured not by vision's intensity, but by changes they bring. True awakening is not spectacle, but practice, silent, ethical, daily. Cannabis may serve as portal, but discipline alone makes the crossing possible and lasting. Every sacred plant is mirror and teacher, but never replacement for discipline. Cannabis can reveal inner landscapes, but only courage and daily practice turn vision into transformation. Without action, revelations fade like smoke. The plant opens a door, but walking through and building a new self is always the responsibility of the seeker, not the herb itself. Modern culture commodified cannabis, stripping ritual and meaning. Yet sacred traditions remind us context is everything. Prayer, fasting, chant, silence. These frame the experience and guard the spirit. Without them, visions may confuse instead of guide. With them, the same smoke can become sacred incense, turning distraction into a bridge toward transcendence. True spirituality is not spectacle, it is integration. The light of vision must become action in the world. Kindness, truth, compassion. Cannabis may help unveil shadow, but integration demands courage to embrace it. Shadows revealed must be healed, not ignored. Without healing, the cycle repeats. With healing, the plant serves as catalyst, not chain of illusion. Ultimately, the question is not whether cannabis is sacred. The question is, are you prepared to meet yourself in the mirror it creates? The herb amplifies what already lives within. If you carry chaos, chaos grows. If you carry presence, presence expands. The plant is neutral potential. The seeker's consciousness, intention, and discipline decide the outcome every time. So when smoke rises, ask, am I escaping or awakening? The path of spirit is subtle, demanding honesty, courage, and presence. Cannabis can be portal or prison, teacher or distraction. The choice is yours. Not what you see while intoxicated, but what you become once sober defines your growth. True awakening is not in the smoke, it is in the fire you sustain within.